you believe there was a military leader who was never defeated in a single battle throughout his life? A leader whose strategies are studied by commanders more than 1,400 years later. This is not fiction. This is Khalid ibn al-Walid. His upbringing, where leaders are made. Khalid was born in Mecca, into one of the greatest families of the Quraysh, the Banu Makhzum, a family renowned for its strength, leadership, and warfare. From a young age, he was not treated like an ordinary child. He was trained in riding horses swiftly and accurately, fighting with swords and spears, endurance in the desert, and decision-making under pressure. He wasn't just learning to fight. He was learning how to think like a leader. Khalid grew up and wasn't just a strong fighter. He possessed something rare, a strategic mind. He saw the battle as a chessboard, and every soldier a piece with a role. A genius. But on the other side, when the Prophet Muhammad's call began, Khalid stood with the Quraysh. He wasn't a follower. He was a leader. And in the Battle of Uhud, his genius shone through for the first time in a shocking way. While the Muslims thought they had won, Khalid noticed a weakness. Small, the Archer's Mountain, was exposed. In a moment, he made a bold decision. He led his horsemen and circled around the army and struck from the rear. Ere one blow changed the course of an entire battle. This isn't strength. This is battlefield reading. The beginning of doubt. Reason awakens. Years passed, and Khalid watched. Despite the defeats, Islam spreads. Despite the fighting, the Muslims grow stronger. He began to ask himself, "Oh, how? Why won't they stop?" Here began the transformation. Not emotional, but intellectual. A true leader doesn't ignore facts. The decision that changed history. In a moment of silence, Khalid made a momentous decision to go to Medina, not as an army commander, but as a seeker of truth. He entered and met the Prophet. The meeting was calm, but profound. Khalid extended his hand and embraced Islam. At that moment, the Muslims didn't just lose an enemy, but gained one of the greatest leaders in history. The Prophet said, Khalid, a sword from among the swords of God. Mutah, the test of a true leader. In the Battle of Mutah, the Muslims faced a massive Roman army. The three commanders were killed, one after the other, and the army was on the verge of collapse. Here, Khalid took command. In moments, he assessed the situation. The enemy outnumbered them. The soldiers were exhausted. Morale was low. So what did he do? Instead of fighting to the end, he devised a brilliant plan. He changed the army's positions. He raised dust to give the enemy the illusion of reinforcements. He executed a clever tactical withdrawal. He saved an entire army, without the withdrawal turning into a defeat. Today, in military science, this is called strategic withdrawal. The greatest military campaign in the desert, one of his greatest achievements, wasn't a battle, but a march. When he wanted to move from Iraq to Syria, he chose a route no one expected. The deadly desert. A route with no water and no life. But why? Because he wanted the element of surprise. He led his army across the desert, with meticulous planning, precisely identifying water sources, using camels to carry water, calculatedly dividing the march. And he arrived before the enemy expected him. This isn't risk. This is military engineering. Today, this operation is studied as an example of unpredictable maneuvering. Yarmouk, when the impossible was conquered. In the Battle of Yarmouk, the Muslim army, small, the Roman army, immense. Any ordinary commander would have lost. But Khalid was no ordinary commander. He intelligently divided the army, utilized mobile reserves, and launched concentrated attacks at the right time. Ere he turned weakness into strength. And the battle ended in a historic victory. Why are his plans studied today? Even today, Khalid is mentioned in military studies, not just because he won, but because he understood the dynamics of battle. utilized tactical flexibility, relied on speed and surprise, saw the enemy before they moved. A great commander doesn't follow plans. He creates them. In some military academies around the world, his battles are cited as analytical models, just as leaders like Napoleon Bonaparte and Sun Tzu are studied. The unexpected end. A man, never defeated in battle. His body was riddled with wounds. Every wound, a story. But how did he die? Not on the battlefield, but in his bed. He looked at his body and said, "There is not a handspan of my body that is not marked by a wound. And here I am, dying in my bed." Then he uttered his immortal words, "May the eyes of cowards never rest." Khalid ibn al-Walid, not just a name in history, but a school of thought in leadership, strategic thinking, decision-making under pressure, transformation and change. You may start life on the wrong path, but your mind and your decisions can make you a legend.